Hey, welcome. I am so glad to have Vladimir Gendelman, founder and CEO of Company Folders, here with us on the Focus Forward Business Podcast. I am Sturdy McKee. I help business owners uh, work with their teams on professional leadership development, create order out of chaos, and ultimately make more money. And I am your host for the Focus Forward Business Podcast. Thanks for being here, Vladimir.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
So let's do this thing.
Cool. So will you please tell our listeners a little bit more about who you are and what you do currently?
Absolutely. I started a company called Company Folders about 17 or 18 years ago. And currently I am the CEO and obviously the founder of the company. And we specialize in printing presentation folders, binders, and envelopes. That's our main product. And outside of that, we do all other printing. And actually, we do promotional products as well.
Cool. So give a little bit more, a bit of background, I guess. You were born and raised in the Soviet Union. You said the Ukraine, right? But how did you get started in business? And what was your first business? What motivated you?
How did I get started in business? That's a good question because I almost feel that I was kind of born that way. Since I was a kid, it was always about making a deal somehow, to the point where I would bully my grandma into making bets with me that I knew for sure I'm going to win. And then, we would make a bet for $1, ruble at the time.
Right.
But, that was the beginning of it. And then when we were in school, my friends and I would, one friend, we would resell tapes for a tape player. We would make copies of photographs. You know how they now say copy and paste? We actually had to take a photograph of a photograph.
Right.
Then we had to develop it, make it, and then we would sell those photographs in school, which was also fun. And they were photographs of some groups or bands that were popular. But, back in Soviet Union, you can't really go to the store and buy it. So somehow, somewhere, somebody would bring a photograph in, and then if you get your hands on it, take a photo of the photo. So we did that. Then when we left Soviet Union, we had to go through Austria and Italy, where we spent a couple of months in Austria and then almost 6 months in Italy. So during those times, I actually ended up selling a lot of things also, because there were other immigrants who would bring stuff to sell, because we couldn't really take our money out, in the sense that, they wouldn't transfer it to dollars and we couldn't have it. So people would bring stuff that they heard could be sold in another country. But then the problem was that a lot of those people were doctors and engineers, and selling was kind of beneath them. But it was not beneath me. So I would take their product, and they would tell me how much money they want for it, and I would sell it for more and keep the difference. So I did that. Then also in Italy, I had another gig going where I would stand in the traffic light with a brush and some kind of liquid to wash the windshields. And when cars stopped, I would just put soap on and wash the windshield of the car in hopes that they give me some kind of money. And a lot of times they did. Sometimes they yelled at you. So I got it all, which was also cool. And then we came here, and I just had job after job after job. And then at some point towards the late 90s, a friend of mine and we would buy computers, laptops, and computers that were off lease from companies. And then we would delete all the information, reinstall Windows, and make sure that everything works properly, and then we would sell those computers.
Kind of the refurbished idea.
Yep. On eBay, we would sell it locally through Craigslist, all sorts of things, and so that was fun also. And then at some point, I started a computer repair company. And as the computer repair company, I would go, visit customers and help them with their computer problems. And one day, a customer asked me if I could help him find nice company folders. I said, of course. How hard could that be, right? By then, internet was already a thing. And I started the research, and there really wasn't much out there in terms of variety and options and things like that. It was all standard stuff. And the moment I realized that, my mind traveled back to Soviet Union, because we had standard stuff in Soviet Union.
Right.
So, and it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like I did not leave Soviet Union to find remainders of it here, right? So that's when I decided that somebody got to do this. Somebody got to create options with presentation folders, and might as well be me. So I pivoted and started this company because customer referred to it as company folders. I called it company folders. Companyfolders.com was available, and I guess the rest is history. I started growing the company from then. For the first, 5 years, I worked 7 days a week, 14 to 16-hour days. And then, it's gotten a little easier and then a little bit more easier. And
well, I love that the name, people get all tied up in the names, right? But you named your company what the customer called it before you had customers, before there was a company.
Correct.
Right? And I think that's genius, right? Because then you've got that fit and understanding from the customer side.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
So you made that pivot. Do you wish you had done it at all differently? Were there any lessons that you kind of wish you had known at that time?
Well, it depends on how you look at it, right? On one hand, I don't wish anything was different, because that's my journey. That's what worked, and that's what taught me a lot of things. On the other hand, of course, I would love to do everything differently, including the industry I'm in, just because I would get a chance to learn some other industry. Okay. Not to say that print industry is bad by any means. I love what I do. However, the company name, as good and descriptive as it is, at the same time, it's also limiting, right? Like it's really hard to sell other products under that company name. Granted, we do, but maybe looking forward back then, different name that's a bit more generic might be better. But then it would be hard to establish the niche. And once, as I said, that's my journey, right? And I would not want to change it. But if I'm given a task to come up with things that could be changed, that possibly could work out better, I'm sure everything could be updated like that.
Okay. So, I mean, you just mentioned you spent the first several years, a lot of people can relate to this, working long hours every day of the week.
Yep.
That's pretty common with most people starting up businesses, right? And then, but presumably you're not doing that now. So what advice would you give to a business owner who's kind of struggling with that, with not having enough time, with being too busy in their business and not being able to, preserve any of their time for anything else? What did you learn? What made the change for you?
That's a really hard thing to do at the time, because to get from point where you work a lot to the point where you don't, it's 100% mindset shift.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's an easy thing, right? You hire more people,
I mean, tactically, strategically, it's easy, but I think you're onto something with the mindset shift.
It's the mindset, right? So physically, all you got to do is hire more people who can do things that you currently do better than you, right?
Right.
And
right.
because, you know, as a business owner, you're not an expert in any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But if you hire experts to do them, then they're going to do them. They're going to do them better than you could, right? They're going to get better results. Your company will grow bigger and better sooner. However, there is always a fear. How am I going to pay those people?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What if it doesn't work? And that's where the whole mindset shift comes in, right? I read a lot of books, and I attribute a lot of my success to that. But for the business owners who are currently working a lot, I would definitely say, start reading books. Very counterintuitive, because I'm sure they don't have time for that.
Right.
But it's really hard to get past those points, right? Without growing your mindset. The way I see it is, our businesses could not grow beyond our mindset, wherever our mindset is at the moment, right?
So what was the trigger, the catalyst for you to make that shift?
I was reading books.
Yeah.
At the time and before. And the more, and a lot of books, they are on the same topic, right? And I'm talking about business books, obviously. The topic is the same or very similar, and ideas repeat themselves in different words, which over time, what happens is it changes your mindset automatically, right? Like, you heard that from here and from there, and they put it in these words and those words, but as the final result, you start thinking differently. The more you think differently, the more you naturally change things around you. And the more you change things around you, the obviously outcomes are different. So when I started hiring more people for positions that I did not have 100% occupancy for in terms of work, right?
Right.
100% demand for, that's when really things started to work, because I didn't think I need this marketing person, for example, right? Because I didn't think there is a lot for them to do. But then the moment that person starts, the work somehow comes up by itself. And before you know it, the person is overly busy with it. So then you hire another one. And then before you know it, the other one is overly busy, right? And it just keeps on going. And with that, you get more business coming in, and you can pay for more and more things.
Right.
And of course, at the same time, when you start cutting things, it works the same way. The more you cut, the less work you get, the less money you have, the more you need to cut, and it's a vicious cycle.
Right, it goes back the wrong way. So yeah, one of the things mindset-wise, if somebody's struggling with this, and I love where you went with that, that I work with clients on, is this concept or idea of just asking yourself the question: are you the hardest working, best player on the team, or are you the coach facilitating all the players to be the best players they can be? And kind of shifting, not being on the field, but empowering people to play the positions, to do the best work that they can do, and giving them the resources and training and skill, whatever they need to do that, can be a bit of a game changer. And that's usually an easy one for people to see, because if they've ever played on a team or watched sports, you don't see the coach or the manager of the baseball team running around fielding balls in middle infield, right? They're supposed to be in the dugout, right? Or the manager on the football or soccer field is meant to be on the sidelines, not running around the middle of the field, right?
Absolutely. And that's exactly how I see my role in the company. My job is to make sure that everybody is taken care of and has what they need to do their job.
Cool.
And as long as I do that, and they do what they do, our customers are taken care of, and new customers are coming in through the door. And
right, there's no better marketing than happy customers, huh?
That's right. That is absolutely correct.
That's awesome. So one of the things we deal with, business owners that I talk to often will feel, and you can feel, isolated, particularly if they don't have a network like EO. So you and I connected through Entrepreneurs Organization, EO. And facing those challenges alone in isolation can feel very lonely, can make it even worse. What challenges are you currently facing in your business, and how are you working to overcome them that you would be willing to share so people kind of understand that they're not alone?
What kind of challenges? Wow. So the first one is hiring.
Okay.
Finding right talent is extremely difficult right now. The unemployment is high, and it seems like people should be there. But when you're talking about highly qualified people with a certain skill,
Right.
especially when it comes to technology, for example,
they're still in demand.
Practically impossible to hire those people. That's definitely big challenge for us right now. Another challenge is financial. There's never enough money. Resources are always limited. So you're juggling the situation where you need this, but you can only pay that. That always comes up. Of course, with COVID, all sorts of other challenges came up. In my industry, most of the product, or all the products we produce, are for face-to-face interaction, for trade shows, for conferences, for sales meetings, and that do not take place right now. So the whole industry is down tremendously. We are down tremendously, even though we're doing better than an average company. But nothing like what we did last year, and nothing like what we're going to do next year.
Right.
I have a very bright outlook on that, and we changed a lot of things to help us be in that position, right? And we're still changing a lot of things to set us up for the much better next year. But this kind of caught everybody off guard, this coronavirus thing.
Yeah, I did not have it on my bingo card at the beginning of the year. Yeah, no,
exactly.
Right. Well, and thank you for sharing that, because I think that's a really important thing. You've been in business, I think 18 years, you said?
17 or 18 years.
17. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I think a lot of people come to this thinking, at 18 years, I'm facing these challenges. I must not have it all figured out. What's wrong with me, kind of thing, or what's wrong with the business, the design, or what have you. And there are people that are 5 years in, right, looking at it thinking, oh, somebody who's 20 years down the road has it all sorted and knows what's going on. And I think that's one of those things that's really important. That like in EO was one of the things that I learned in forum and sharing with people, and that kind of intimacy and all, is that it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, there are always new problems. There are always new challenges. There are always things that are happening. And that doesn't portend any kind of failure on your part. That's just the nature of the beast, right? And we're facing the next one and the next one and the next one. Even once we solve one, there's a new one.
I could add to that.
Yeah, please.
As long as your problems change, you're doing something right.
Perfect. Yes.
The actual problem is when you keep on having the same problem over and over and over again, right?
Yes.
The moment you solve a problem, the result of that is always another problem.
Yeah.
Whether you want it or not, right?
Big or small, right? But there's going to be another challenge.
Yeah. Think of it as you're going up the stairs. The moment you get to the next flight of stairs, there is another challenge, meaning another flight of stairs. You didn't know about it ahead of time. And then you get on the floor, and on the floor, there are all sorts of other issues. But that's good, because you're getting closer to wherever you're going.
Right.
And the whole business thing is solving those problems.
That's great. Great point. So what's your proudest moment in your business career?
Proudest moment?
Yeah.
Proudest moment. Well, I don't know if there is a moment that would be the proudest, but I guess it's a combination of things.
Okay.
When I started the company, I honestly I did not think, or did not even, well, maybe I hoped, but I did not think or envision a bigger company. I did not envision myself having, a whole bunch of employees and doing the great work for, well-known companies and things like that. And then gradually, things start happening, and the next thing I know, we do work for Hershey Chocolates, Nestle Chocolates, Bed Bath & Beyond, Google, NFL, PGA, all sorts of universities, government, Marines, Navy, Honda, Ford, Chick-fil-A, on and on and on. That, to me right now, that's normal, right? But to me back then, it would have been, no, it's not going to happen. On top of that, we were on a list of Inc.'s 5,000 fastest growing companies in America for like 3 straight years.
That's awesome.
Won all sorts of other awards, were written about in Forbes, Inc., and on and on and on. So combination of all those things, yeah, those are proud moments. But the real proud moments I get is at home. We on Sunday night, we have what we call a family meeting with my wife and my kids. And as part of that meeting, we talk about things we're grateful that happened over this past week and things we're proud of. And once in a while, my kids, in the proud moments, they say that they're proud of me for something work-related, and that's really the proudest moment for me, that I could make my kids proud.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what's like one of the biggest things you've learned recently that you wish you had known maybe 10 or 15 years ago?
So remember how in the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned that the name,
yes,
I might have used a different name in the beginning because it wouldn't be as limiting. So I've been doing promotional products all these years. But on a local, so we're a national company, right? We sell online, ship everywhere, including Canada, Mexico. But we never did that with promotional products. Promotional products was always local business, just people I know, because then the name doesn't matter. I was always afraid that if we start offering promotional products under company folder's name, right, we're going to lose our.
We confuse people, right?
And the specialty of being the folder place, even though nobody does more in folder market than we do. And with COVID, it's kind of like when you're pushed against the wall, right? Just do stuff.
Yes.
So we just did it. We went global or national with promotional products, and guess what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the name. So if I learned that 10 years ago, that definitely would have helped. But once again, it's a journey that I'm on, and I love my journey, and it is what it is.
Right. No, I love that. That's awesome. So, I mean, you read a lot of books. Can you share a favorite business book or article with us and tell us what's important about it?
So there are tons of books out there. And
there are.
And they help at different points of people's journeys. So it really depends on where people are. One of my all-time favorites is called The Diamond Cutter. It is written by this guy. His name is Michael Roche, I think. He's a Buddhist. He's a Buddhist, and he spent, I think, 11 years there with Buddhist monks, and then he came back to America and grew a diamond cutting business from nothing to 100 or 200 million dollars strictly by applying Buddhist principles. And that's what the whole book is about, is those principles. And so, you know how we usually say that you can't change what other people do?
Mm-hmm.
You can only change the way you respond to what other people do. So in that book, he actually shows you how you can take action to change the environment around you. It's not necessarily direct
Right.
correspondence, but it's more about the more good things you do to others, the more open you are, the more grateful you are, and everything else. Like all these other things just happen to you. And sure enough, it does work.
Cool. That's a great recommendation. Thank you very much.
It's called The Diamond Cutter. Amazing, amazing book.
Cool. We'll check it out and put the link in as well for the podcast, but thanks for that. Are there any other, before we wrap up, any other thoughts you'd like to share or leave the audience with?
The mindset
is
the biggest thing. And usually, and awareness, right? Because we have to be aware of who we are and what our advantages and disadvantages are. And if done right, every disadvantage we have, if we work on it, it actually becomes our advantage. In my business, the same way, every weakest spot we ever had, over time would become our strongest suit, right? And then some other problems take its place. And same thing happens with mindset. Like if people are aware enough to where they're lacking, just you can fulfill that through books, through classes, through all sorts of learning, and that becomes your much stronger suit, if not the strongest, right? And then you identify wherever you're lacking now. But what happens is everything goes up and up and up, and your whole baseline just moves up a lot.
That's a great point, because as you, just to pile onto that, because I totally agree, as you keep learning and growing, you're building upon the previous foundation, and then you build another, and the rate at which you can grow, learn, your business can grow, and all accelerates based on the things you've done in the past, that foundation that you've laid. So no, that's a wonderful, wonderful point. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for being here.
This was fun.
Really appreciate it. Enjoyed it. I know folks will as well. So, and if somebody wants to get a hold of you, Company Folders.
Companyfolders.com is the website, and my email is Vladimir@companyfolders.com.
Straightforward. Cool. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks. Thank you, Sturdy.